Hello everyone. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate to you how to use scientific calculator in evaluating mathematical operations that involve power of 10. When you go to the blackboard, you can see on week number 1 area a document titled Calculator Practice Exercises. When you download this document, you have certain practice exercises that you need to try to do yourself in order to get familiar with how to use the calculator in operations that use the power of 10 notation. Now in this video I'll be using a TI-83 Plus calculator, and I'm going to demonstrate those practice exercises from 1 to 6 on this TI-83 Plus calculator that actually I downloaded online. Okay, let me go ahead and turn on the calculator here. Now when you want to input 2.65 times 10 to the power 8 into your calculator, you can do it two ways, one of which is the right way, or the way actually that we would like to use in this course in order to avoid errors in the calculation. Now the way that most of you are used to is to input 2.65, then use the multiplication, then input 10, then the power, which is this press here, then 8. And this is correct. This will give you the right answer. This is 2.65 times 10 to the power 8, which is equivalent to 265 million, because 10 to the power 8 means 1 and beside it 8 zeros, which is equivalent to 100 million. So we are multiplying 2.65 by 100 million, so the answer will be 265 million. Okay, we want to avoid using the times 10 to the power. So instead we are going to use the EE press, which is this one here. You have to press second, then the comma here, as demonstrated here in the table. On the table in column 4, it shows you the presses that you have to input into your calculator. So 2.65 times 10 to the power 8 will become let me turn on the calculator first. Okay, so it will be 2.65, and now instead of times 10 to the power, we'll just press second, comma, which is the EE here, and it will display it as 2.65, this small uppercase E, 8. Okay, and if you press enter, you'll see that you'll get exactly the same answer. But basically you replaced 4 presses by 1 only. So you replace times 1 0 and then the power by the EE press. This is very important when you do operations, because the calculator will view 2.65 E8 as one number. 2.65 times 10 to the power 8 will be viewed as basically 3 operations. You have multiplication, then you have raising to the power 8, and therefore when you have really long operation, you have to use a lot of parentheses if you are going to use the first method here, while with the second method you will not need any parentheses. And also you need, of course, if you are going to use the first method, you need to know when to open the parentheses and when to close it. So in order to avoid all this headache, just learn how to use the EE press. And that's the purpose of this assignment, to teach you how to use the EE in order to express power of 10 notation. So that was basically the first operation here, 2.65 times 10 to the power 8, which is 0.65 E8. And whenever you get this answer, you need to remember that E8 means times 10 to the power 8. So when you write down the answer, you need to write it as 2.65 times 10 to the power 8. Okay, don't write it as 2.65 E8. When you do any mathematical operation, don't write the answer in the same format the calculator displays. Instead, write it in the correct mathematical format. So it's 2.65 times 10 to the power 8. Okay, now let's look at the second operation. It's 4.8 times 10 to the negative 23. Again, if we if we use the correct method, press 4.8 and times 10 to the power negative 23 will be replaced by the E button again. Press second, then the comma. So this is 4.8 E. And then for the negative, you will use this press negative and then 23. So this means you are multiplying 4.8 by 1 over 1 and beside it 23 zeros. That's the meaning of 4.8 times 10 to the negative 23. It's basically 4.8 times 1 over 1 and beside it 23 zeros. Okay. For 10 to the power 6, the way to input into your calculator is 1e6. Okay. It's not 10e6. So we're looking at the third operation here. Now remember, when you enter 1e6, this means what? This means 1 times 10 to the power 6. Okay, so this means 1 times 10 to the power 6. And 10 to the power 6 means what? Means 1 and beside is 6 zeros. So you can see here when you input 1e6, you will get 10 to the power 6, which is 1 and beside it 6 zeros. So that's the third operation. Okay, now fourth operation, this is where we start seeing multiplications and after that division and so on. So notice here in number 4, 1.6 times 10 to the power 4, you'll simply go 1.6 and then second comma, which will give you the E, then 4, then times, you have to press on the times button. 5.2 times 10 to the negative 2, so you'll go 5.2, then second, then the E, then negative 2, and then press enter, and this will give you the answer. The answer came out to be 832, okay, which is the right answer. You can see here the third column represent the answer or the output of the operation. 832, which is equivalent to 8.32 times 10 to the power 2, and you can write it in either. Okay, now number 5 is very important because many errors take place when you have mathematical operation in the denominator. So you can see here you have 9.2 divided by 5.3 times 1.6. Now let me show you the wrong way. The wrong way is to go 9.2, then division, then you go 5.3, and so far it's correct. It's 9.2 divided by 5.3, but many students go and multiply by 1.6. Now what's wrong here? What's wrong here is the calculator will divide 9.2 by 5.3 and then multiply the answer by 1.6. So 1.6 will be multiplied by the numerator instead of the denominator. And that's the wrong answer. So now if we press enter, you'll get the wrong answer. The answer is not 2.77. It's actually 1.08. So let's see how we can do it right. To do it right, you have two options. One option is to go 9.2 divided by 5.3, then divide by 1.6. Okay. So what you are doing here, you are telling the calculator to divide 9.2 by 5.3, then divide the answer by 1.6, which is the right way to do it. And you can see here, if you press enter, you'll get the right answer, which is 1.084. Another method to do it is to involve parentheses. Basically, you'll input the denominator, the operation of the denominator within parentheses. So you'll go 9.2 divided by, and now you can open parentheses and then input 5.3, and now you can use the multiplication by 1.6 and then close the parentheses. So what you are doing here, you are telling the calculator that you are dividing 9.5 by the operation in the denominator that involve 5.3 times 1.6. And this will give you the right answer. So you can either follow the first option here, divide again the denominator by 1.6, include the operation in the denominator within parentheses. Okay, so this is very important, guys, when you do your calculation. Okay, now let's look at step number 6. Here we are raising 5 to the power 6. Now 5 to the power 6 is different from 5 times 10 to the power 6. Okay, let me remind you here. Yeah, let me just remind you here the difference between 5 times 10 to the power 6 and 5 to the power 6. 5 times 10 to the power 6 means what? Means 5 multiplied by 10 to the power 6, which is 1, and beside it 6 zeros. So basically you're multiplying 5 by what? By 1 million. Okay, so the answer to 5 times 10 to the power 6 is basically 5 million. While 5 to the power 6 means what? 5 to the power 6 means 5 multiplied by itself 6 times. Okay, so the answer would be different. So now to input 5 to the power 6 into your calculator, you'll go 5, and then you will not use the EE here. You'll use this button here, which means raise to the power. So we'll input the power here, and then we'll input this symbol, then 6. And this means 5 multiplied by itself 6 times, which will yield 15,625. Of course, that's different from 5 million. Okay, now this is the practice exercises. Now you can go ahead and pause this video and work on the calculator exercises. Notice here in the calculator exercises, you are given the practice exercise that is similar to each one of those exercises. Okay, for example, number 1 here is similar to practice exercise number 4. Number 2 is similar to number 4. Number 3 is similar to number 5, and so on. So go ahead and pause this video and go ahead and work on these exercises, then I'll show you how to do them. Okay everyone, I assume you already did those exercises, and you just need to check the answer. Now remember here on Blackboard you have assignment number 3. That's where you are going to download the assignment. Okay, so if you click on assignment 3 here, you'll see here a link that says calculator assignment, and you'll open this link here. Exactly, that's the link here. This link has only the calculator exercises. It does not have the practice exercises. Okay, so let's do the first operation here. 2.88 times 10 to the power 8 times 1.34 times 10 to the negative 5. So we'll go 2.88. Now for times 10 to the power 8, we are going to press second E and input 8. So now we have 2.88 times 10 to the power 8. And then we have to multiply it by 1.34 times 10 to the negative 5. So this is times 1.34 times 10 to the power, so we have to input E, negative 5, so negative 5. Okay, so we have here 2.88 times 10 to the power 8 times 1.34 times 10 to the negative 5. Press enter, and the answer is 3859.2. So that's for the first one. Now let's look at the second operation. It's 3.25 times 10 to the power 3 times 6.35 times 10 to the negative 9. So we'll go ahead and input 3.25 second E, and then input 3. So this is 3.25 times 10 to the power 3 times 6.35 E, negative 9, and the answer is 2.06 times 10 to the negative. Do not write the answer in the same way the calculator display the number. You have to write it in the correct format. So 2.063 here, you can, let me show you here how to input it. So you'll go here and you'll input 2.0637, and you can just go to maybe 3 decimal places, then times just x 10 to the power negative 5. To input power, I have instruction here on how to express superscripts. On the Word document, you'll just click Ctrl Shift and positive at the same time. So basically you'll go beside the 10 here, hold down the control shift and the positive, okay, and this will bring the cursor to the power mode, and then you'll input -5. Okay, this is how the answer should be recorded. If you record the answer as 2.0637 times e -5, it will be counted wrong. Okay, this is just the way the calculator displays it. When you write the answer, you have to write it in the correct mathematical format. Okay, now let's look at question number 3. Okay, in question number 3 we have 6.7 times 10 to the -3, so we'll go 6.7 second e -3. Remember, e replace times 10 to the power, so one press replace 4 presses. This is divided by 10 to the power 7, so you'll go divide, and remember 10 to the power 7 means 1 e7, because the e means times 10 to the power. So 1 e7 means 1 times 10 to the power 7. And now we'll press enter, and again the answer is 6.7 times 10 to the -10. So remember, when you type the answer, it has to be 6.7 times 10 to the -10. So you input it the same way I showed you on the previous problem. Okay, question number 4. You have 4.56 times 10 to the power 7. So you go 3.56 second 7 divided by 1.005 second e -2. So what we have here is 3.56 times 10 to the power 7 divided by 1.005 times 10 to the -2. Press enter and this will yield the answer. So you can see the answer here is 3,524,288,557. So when you input the answer, you could input it in this format, or if you know how to convert to power of 10 notation, you can do that. This is actually the topic of lesson number 2. In lesson number 2, we'll learn how to convert between the floating format, which is this format basically, to the power of 10 format and vice versa. So you can just input it as it is. Okay, so that's for number 4. Number 5. Okay, number 5 is important. This is where we have an operation in the denominator. So we'll go 4.6 times 10 to the power -4. So we'll go second e -4. And then divided by, and now after you divide, you either follow the first method where you'll divide by 4.3 times 10 to the -2, then divide again by 6 times 10 to the power 9, or just use parentheses. And I'll go ahead and use parentheses here, so I'll open the parentheses here to include the operation in the denominator. So this will be 5.3 times 10 to the -2 times 6 second e, which means times 10 to the power, and now 9, and now close the parentheses. Okay, and press enter, and this will be the correct answer. It's 1.4465 times 10 to the -12, and that's the correct answer. Of course, the second method, 4.6 second e -4, 4.6 times 10 to the -4 divided by 5.3 second e -2 divided again by 6 second e 9. So you can see here we divided 4.6 times 10 to the -4 by 5.3 times 10 to the -2, then divided again by 6 times 10 to the power 9. I press second, and you can see we got the same answer, 1.4465 times 10 to the -12. Of course, the wrong way to do it is, and that's a common mistake, is to go 4.6 second e -2 divided by 5.3 second e -2 and then multiply by 6. This will be wrong. Okay, I'm just showing you the wrong way to do it. 9, and unfortunately it's common among the students to do this mistake, and this will be the wrong answer. So this is wrong. Okay guys, the answer should be 1.4465 times 10 to the negative. Number 6 here is 7 raised to the power 2.5, so basically you'll go 7, and remember this is not power of 10 notation, this is 7 raised to the power 2.5, so you have to, and then input 2.5. Okay, and the answer is 129.64 basically. Now with the last operation, you can do it in one step or two steps. Okay, if you do it in one step, we have to include parentheses here, so we'll go 6.67. so we'll do the numerator as we learned. Second E, negative 11 times 3.56 raised to the power 7 times 1.6 times 10 to the power negative 19 divided by, now here notice we have division, then we have a number which is 1.005 times 10 to the negative 2 raised to the power 3. So here it's very important to include parentheses because we have two operation, division then raised to the power 3. So we'll open parentheses and we'll input the number which is 1.005 raised to the power negative 2, and now we'll input the whole thing here. Don't close the parentheses yet. We'll close the parentheses after we input the power. So this is all raised to the power 3. And now you can close the parentheses and click enter, and this is the correct answer. It's 3.742 times 10 to the negative 16. If you find one operation to be too long, you can do it in two steps. In the first step, you'll evaluate the numerator. Basically, you multiply 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11 times the 3.56 times 10 to the power 7 times 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19, and you'll write the answer so that you don't forget. Then after that, do the operation in the denominator. You'll take 1.005 times 10 to the negative 2 and raise it to the power 3 and write the answer. And now after that, you can divide the numerator by the denominator. So you'll do it in two steps, and that's fine. In that case, you don't have to worry about parentheses, and that's what I recommend actually. You should get this answer, 3.74 times 10 to the negative 16. Alright, that's all. Hopefully you found this video educational. Thank you.